Hello and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is Dave and I will be your keeper of arcane lore for this session of Call of Cthulhu. Today we are continuing our playthrough through the Order of the Stone, a 3-part campaign which you can pick up over at Chaosium.com. We do stream live each Friday over on the Twitch channel, all the videos are collected on the Chaosium YouTube channel, and yeah, hope we can see you here sometime. We are resuming during Chapter 3 of the campaign, where our investigators have returned. Well, no, they didn't return to Arkham. They're from Boston originally. They have traveled to Arkham to conduct some research and prepare for the final urn being attempted to be opened. But they may have the opportunity to get the jump on the summoners by either resealing 2 of the portions of Agran Talon before the final urn can be opened, by just getting there and taking the 3rd urn from them, or some other chaotic strategy of their own invention, I'm sure. We resume the campaign a couple weeks into some recovery. The first week was more sort of relaxation and just rebuilding oneself, but the second was spent preparing for this final opening. We attempted to create some sort of welded boxes for the portions of Agran Talon to be resealed inside. We started to prepare a funeral for one of our past party members, and we did a little magic to induct a new party member. All of which, well, not all of it was successful. The magic was the most surprisingly successful of it, I think. We're going to pick back up with week 3. So you have, in theory, 2 weeks before the summoning is scheduled to take place, before it's in the calendars. But the kind of soft plan was we'll do another week of preparation, get everything ready, and then we'll boogie over to the Ridge. So we've got a full week to get out there if we need to do any hunting around, and we should be able to stop them before they can open the 3rd urn. We'll go around the table, sort of reintroduce our investigators, say a little bit about kind of who we are, and then probably just go straight back out to like, what's your objectives for this week to come. We will begin with Art. That's me.
Hi.
Sorry, I went to the wrong camera. It's you.
Yes, Dave and Art, same entity.
Twinnies.
That's a thing. What is true? No, hello. I am Art. I am playing Luce McAllister, mechanic of ships and other varieties. Last scene attempting to make Big Urn. Big Urn with Rune. Big Urn went well. Rune
not so hot.
Questionable.
Yeah.
So Rune will be made this week.
Yep.
At some point. Just for narrative purposes, because I'm very tired today, I would say that Luce has spent a lot of like late nights and evenings working on these urns, just getting like the actual proportions of the urns themselves right.
Yep.
And working on, making sure that they are robust enough that if we do decide to drop one, or maybe all of them, into, say, something like, I don't know, the Marianas Trench, they'll be good to go.
Wherever they need to be, they will be sturdy. Yeah, that's right. The actual device that's successfully created is just getting those runes on it so that whatever's magically put inside them can't get back out. Fantastic. We'll go across to Jackson playing Gaspar.
Hey, that's me. I'm Jackson. I'm playing Gaspar. Green. Wizard who is not meant to be a wizard. Through sheer unfortunate circumstances, Gaspar is the only member of the party so far who's been casting spells. He's doing okay.
He's doing shockingly well.
Shockingly well with a power of 40. Has just managed to learn one more spell to add to his arsenal. It's the big make fire one.
Mm-hmm.
Good name for that. Did you paste that into my sheet?
I did, yeah.
I thought you did. Flame of the Ancients. Ooh, catchy. So that's good. And I believe I've got one more to learn, so...
That's right. There is actually possibly 2 more on the table. There is the Binding and then, ultimately, the Summoning, which you will need to be inducted into the Order if you want to pursue. So yeah, hey, all good choices. All right, we'll go across to Paul.
That's me, I'm Paul. Well, I'm Jim, but I'm playing Paul. I've been mostly dealing with probate, sorting out kind of funeral arrangements. There's a lot of legislative stuff to go through. Role-playing games are fun.
It's an escape.
No, mostly dealing with the aftermath of losing our dear captain and getting through all of that. I tried to do a little bit of study at the local library, but got into a fantastic conversation with the local librarian, and I've gotten no work done.
We've all been there. It's another day in the life. And now let's go to Alex with Nancy.
Hello, I am Alex. I am playing Nancy Lewis, psychology PhD with a minor in anthropology. Pretty open-minded, has just had her shit rocked by some actual magic, so that's cool. Is dealing with it all in stride, but we'll see how long that lasts. Along with Gaspar's fractured sanity.
Hey, look though, so far so good. You were very clear,
So far, I am doing my part.
And hey,
I don't know why, but now all I want is a Rock Me Amadeus, but with Azathos.
All right. So we are picking back up with the third week of downtime, second week of choices. It doesn't matter. The next week, the next. And the four of you can pursue whatever objectives you wish. Luce, as you said, I think the urns have been successfully built. It's the rune applying. So rather than having you kind of continue that same role, if you wish, that can be delegated to Michelle or otherwise. What that means, though, is you won't get an opportunity to try and possibly use them during this week if you guys wanted to attempt an early summoning. This will be like, I'll have them ready as soon as you go. So it'll just be a little bit later if you'd like to pursue anything else, or if you want to kind of keep your hand in it, you can still do that. You can also, we'll do what we did last time with sort of like half tasks. So if you pick up a second thing, you'll just roll them with a penalty dice. So yeah, you guys had a few options that you were talking about last time. There's the chance of possibly finding an alternate ley line to conduct the summoning at. There's the idea of doing the early summoning at all, either here or heading out to the ridge. There's research into the ridge. There's research into Agran Talon. There's some spells to learn and good books to read. And there's just generally like getting guns and stuff. That would be helpful. We'll probably say that the funeral is scheduled for sort of midway through this week, and we'll kind of just like step out of the action briefly, describe how our characters like appear here and what happens, and possibly regain some sanity through that process. Does anyone have an idea of what they'd like to look into first?
Nothing leads to
I'm gonna start choosing people from the class.
No, I think Luce is keen to get these urns complete so that, because the plan, insofar as it was laid out, is like 1, stop urn being opened.
Yep.
2, recapture. But ideally, 2 actually before 1, because then 1 can fail, and then it's okay though.
Yeah.
And like while finding ley lines nearby would be ideal, we do also have the backing of the cult itself, the Order of the Stone, to like help us. So
that's right.
There's a bit of a balance, I think. Yeah, Luce.
The last objective that was in there as well, just because it was something that you were particularly interested in. I just forgot about it. Was the tattoos.
Yes.
So finding someone who can create those pieces.
The tattoo for Luce, for like Luce personally, is something that they will try and sort out for themselves, regardless, because I don't know like if it's as complicated to try and get it for everyone as it is for just one person.
That's reasonable. Yeah, I'll probably still get, if you pursue it for yourself, I'll probably still get you to make a roll, and then it's maybe an opportunity to get it for others, or if we're looking at like a fumble or something, then maybe something goes awry. But yeah, I think it's reasonable for you to be able to find someone that can get it done. If that will apply to penalty dice to other actions though, because that is like finding the correct people, making sure it's done, yada 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 yada, getting Gaspar to cast the whatever.
I mean, at a minimum, if the urns need to be done by me in order to be done before, so we can attempt the resealing prior to heading off to the ridge, then I think that's... Luce is a practical person.
Okay.
The tattoo is helpful. The tattoo is something that she wants, but like practicalities wise, that tattoo is entirely useless if the world ends. So let's try and make sure the world don't end. The only thing with that one is very specifically because there was issues with the runes, Luce does want to try and get assistance for this, so it isn't just working, because I feel like it feels a bit hard to be like, yeah, I did it great, but just really struggled with the runes, so I'm gonna do the same thing again this week.
100%. No, so if you want to, so what I'm saying would be probably working with Michelle to double check the runes and also to pursue a tattoo, possibly for yourself and others. For that, we will have no roll for the runes. That's just going to proceed. You can work together on those. I'll just get you make a credit rating roll with a penalty dice because you're kind of attention divided to source the tattoo. Even on a failure, you can manage it for yourself. And it will just, assume like you spend a bit of money on it. This is really risking penalty, but if you get a success, possibly being able to source it for others. I won't get you to roll yet. We'll go and just get everyone's kind of directions. But does that sound right? That sounds okay for what you're working on?
Yeah, it's if I need to focus my full attention on the urn, so they are done beforehand, then I'm happy to go. Don't worry about tattoo. That's where my full focus is. I don't.
This will get it done basically halfway through, you think, and then you can finish the. So this will have it done so that you can do it before you leave if you wish. It'll only be if you want to really push it, like we want to have it early, or you want to make some personalized changes. As this currently is, it's basically Michelle going in, double checking, and then having you make some minor tweaks, and then probably just casting whatever words need to be said over it. So it should be handled.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then that sounds good.
Okay.
It's mostly whether I needed to roll another welding check and whether I got a bonus dice if I needed to.
Should be
that
Gucci.
Was pretty much
I was just forgetting through it. Yeah.
Anything to do welding. I might start looking into the ridge a little more.
Okay.
I would like to argue that this isn't. I think I did some just history on it last time for library use check. I'd like to argue this isn't a push for the roll because I would like to come at it from a different angle. I don't try and look into the history. I get a bunch of maps and I lay them all out. I like to make a navigate check, and I just want to start getting really across the land. Maybe if I spot potentially where, ideally, if I get an extreme success or something, I could figure out where some candidates for where they might have set up would be. But
sure.
Pretty much it's just how are we going to get in? Where are the big places? Where are we going to go?
That sounds
great. Is there like a peak confluence or something where that looks like a ritual site? That sort of thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't have treated it as a pushed roll anyway. Circumstances, it's the next period of this happening, so that would have been okay. But perfect. Navigate will have a different angle anyway. In particular, you can try and triangulate the ley lines themselves and see what that information gives you. And that's something that wouldn't be contained in books. That actually requires getting your little compass out and things like that. So right. Navigate will have a different purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, aweson. So
I've got a bunch of sailors' equipment to do it, and we're not on a boat anymore, so it's all in boxes, and I lay it all out. And you want to make the roll?
No, I'll get everyone's direction, and then we'll just go around and resolve one after the other. Perfect. How about for Gaspar and/or Nancy?
I hate to ask. I've just read the description of the Flame of the Ancients.
Yep.
Should I have had a sanity roll upon seeing the flames?
Yeah, so I was
because I cast it.
I described it as you had already seen it the previous time.
Oh, that's right, I did see it. Yeah.
That's it. I actually don't think I had to make a sanity roll that time. I'm kind of baking it in under the same hat of you. That one was okay. I think.
I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah,
right,
that's
good.
right. That's right.
So the other spells are the summoning one and the blinding one?
That's right. So contained within the third fragment, which you have not read, two more spells, the binding and the summoning, and they would like you to go through an induction before you learn the summoning. You could try and just steal it or do something dodgy. That's all good. This is basically just a request. You would expect there will be a sanity hit associated with reading this tome. But
the Flame of the Ancients, the deal with that is it's the only thing that can kind of damage Agran Talontoth.
That's right. Seems to
Can
be
damage
just-
the physical vessel of it, but not actually. Yeah.
like the soul, yeah. So the idea is you break down the physical form with the fire within a ward. They did suggest that fire is just the way the druids discovered to do it. You could also blow up a steamship. You know, that worked for you guys okay last time. But it's just then preserving
Probably
the rune.
nuke it.
So
Combustible.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could get, you know, flamethrowers or whatever. There's alternatives. I don't know if there's flamethrowers in the 1920s. You're not getting a flamethrower. I don't know why I put that on the table.
They have if they've got welding iron.
They've got flamethrowers. Flamethrowers were
Because
early.
a
love
welding
a
iron is like a
flamethrower.
very high pressure flamethrower.
Well, a
Flamethrowers have
blowtorch
been around
would be.
for a surprisingly long time.
I mean, that's what welding is blowtorches and stuff. You can't weld if you can't melt metal.
A lot of. I'm not going to get. We don't need to. Yeah.
I can guarantee you flamethrowers have been around for a
Yes,
long
I suspect
in
they
some
are
form
around.
or another for a long time.
Well, what do you? What reading might one like to do?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Flame of the Ancients costs 8 magic points, which is all I have. I'm getting the sense with what I have, like, I'm going to run out of juice really quick. I can't remember if we've already kind of talked about this, but
Yeah. You absolutely are.
not
That's
someone else we can bring along.
well, a
who knows
big
the-
part of
the
why
other
you think
spells.
Sebastian's gone to the ley lines is they will reduce that strain. They
Right.
will
That's
make it a lot
right.
easier to do as a single
Okay.
person. You do have the alternative of co-casting these, working with other people to lessen the strain, particularly through like the order or just through your friends. There is there'd be a big level of trust in that, but that's something you can work through with your Nancy. But yeah, so you can try and sort of share that burden across. Particularly the ones that are like preparatory, like the ward could be precast. The flame you'll need to, and the summon. Well, no, the summon actually can't be precast. Okay, you're gonna need to. It's gonna be ward can be precast, then summon, flame, and binding. All will need to happen in the event. I'll
Okay,
tease
here-
them a
here's the
little
thing,
bit.
though.
Summon is going to be how much you want to commit. You can maybe get some help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Binding's a big hit.
Okay.
A big fucking hit. And people would need to ideally know the spell to assist you. Otherwise, we could do some like power roll shenanigans. Just see if they're able to pour points across.
Okay, yeah, power roll for Gaspar, good shit.
It
With
sounds
that-
like we should get at least one other person to learn the spell.
Yeah.
That's what
just
I'm
with
wondering,
the
like-
order of operations, so are we not the main concern is that these are, like, our adversaries are going to try and they're going to be casting the summoning, right?
Not necessarily.
they've
No.
already got-
They're just gonna break an urn and assume that works.
Yep, that seems to be
they
the
don't actually
solution.
need
Is
to
just snap.
cast, Yeah.
The summoning, but what the summoning allows
Yeah.
it to do is move Agran,
The
Talon,
weaker
and or
version
soft.
of it to us.
It's within physical space, so it could pull it from presumably the ridge or wherever they have it to you here in Arkham or at an alternative ley line or wherever you find.
There.
If we're doing
I
order of
think-
operations critical thing, binding would probably be the more important than the summoning,
Yeah.
just because worst case
could
you
go
just
to
like
the ridge.
and you
Yeah.
bait it into the ward with a cookie or whatever, like, and you just do it the
Nice,
old-fashioned way.
tasty person.
Yeah, a big
Human
a
flesh.
box on a stick with a wheel of cheese underneath it.
Actually, that's a very good
Alright.
question. If we
always good.
the containment thing, it has a if it is inside cannot get out, but if outside cannot get in, no.
Correct.
Right.
So if we create that circle and then activate it before Agran Talon is inside it, then it can't get in. But what happens if we summon it into the circle? Can
Yeah.
it already be activated, or does it need to be deactivated? We summon it and then we go boop.
Deactivated and then boop. Yeah, you suspect it would not be able to enter
So-
that space because it's protected from it.
So we can't precast the circle, is what you're saying.
We can precast most of it because remember what we did on the ship where it was mostly cast and then it was just like a little
Yeah.
boop at the
Yeah.
end.
Oh,
And
for
that-
the ward, you just draw it and then you
Yeah.
cast it.
One
So
second.
you
Yeah.
have to draw it, which just doesn't cost any points, and then
Yeah.
But it's the
You could
casting,
summon
which
it
is the
inside the ward, and then like so you'd be casting the summoning and then instantly casting the ward.
I've reviewed it. So for the it's already cast and you activate it. So it would be precast the ward, summon it in, activate it. The ward has been cast, so the magic points at least have been spent.
Oh,
but you
okay.
do need to make a power roll, and if that
Yeah.
fails,
That's
it's
right.
loose as a goose.
Yeah.
So that would have its own problems.
Got it.
Yeah, it can be pre-made, and then there's like an activation thing that's not the actual spell. It doesn't take the time. The magic points have already been spent. It's yeah. 'Cause
You
that's
guys
what we
could
want
do
to ship
something
with
like
the-
because you're kind of like the ward is actually pretty reliably done by Gaspar now. You could do something like if you were to summon it in say like a concrete bunker, you put a secondary ward on the door exit, and then if this one fails, everyone quick smart get
Yeah.
out the door and
Yeah.
close it, and it's at least
That's-
trapped in the room, which is
kinda
a
what I was
different
thinking, 'cause-
a whole different problem.
It's a whole different problem, but like at least it's contained, because that's kind of because on the ship. I remember Bernie did the final power roll without having to cast the spell.
Yes, it had
So
been
there
cast.
are rolls in that for people who don't know the spells. You just got to
Well-
make a power roll.
Well, in that case, let's try and get the people with the power to do those rolls, and we'll just get Gaspar to be the magic sack that gives out
The
all
magic
the points.
boy.
But we just squeeze
that-
Gaspar and magic comes out.
So it sounds like I'm going to need to apply for a Order of the Stone membership card and get Michelle
You
to
don't
teach
need it
me
for
the
binding,
next
though,
spell.
do
The
you?
binding one, just for the summoning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that is true. They will let you read the third spell and learn the binding within it. It is for the summoning that they have also not just found contained within a single scroll, but interpreted from across multiple. So they kind of need to impart that knowledge. That said, maybe you're just open to cult membership in general.
Oh, but
Not
for the record,
opposed.
yeah, for the record, like if they're like, hey, if it gets to a point where we need the summoning spell, Luce will just join the order. Luce does not have a problem with this. Luce
Awesome.
is like, yeah, sure. I'm a practical human being. This seems like a bunch of people who really need someone who does shit.
Yeah, they would
You
absolutely.
will learn spell.
They would.
Nancy
Well, they,
has some concerns.
you're also very
about
welcome
the whole
to.
cult thing. I don't know if that's necessarily helpful, healthy even. It might be helpful, but not healthy.
It's a support structure. Damn it.
Do they not have someone they can loan out to us?
That would be my
Spell?
first question. Yeah.
So the only person that's really left,
Like a little
it would be
human library
Michelle. So she is capable. What she isn't is particularly hardy. She was quite badly hurt
right,
on the
yeah.
champagne, and
She had a bad
one of her
time.
arms is still pretty much, it's, got function, but not a lot. She wouldn't want to go into the fray, so to speak. That said, she is willing to. She kind of sees herself as more the guy in the chair, like help out
Yeah.
and tee up information, but she can help with the casting. She already knows, she's learned the binding and she knows the ward. She doesn't know flame and she doesn't know summoning, but she's pieced together and she could learn it over this week in between. And yeah, kind of consider her a resource at your disposal as well.
Can we ask if she's going to come with us? Like, to the
She
ridge?
can. It really depended on where the plan turned out. Because if it was going to be summon Agra and Talon somewhere else and bind it, she would probably stay with those urns and leave you to the actual go to the ridge and stop the ritual. She's less keen for. But the summoning and the sealing, she could definitely add a lot to.
We
If
don't
requested,
need
though,
to go
she-
to the ridge to.
It'd only be for the
Well,
ley
that's it.
lines
Are we
going
going to
there
commit
early.
to trying? Are we going to commit to try to do the summoning
Yeah,
Well,
before the day?
I think that's the
That's-
smart.
yeah. The plan is to try and summon and bind away from the ridge, and then go to the ridge and fuck up their plans. Double whammy! Yay, we
Yeah.
saved the world.
Because if
But,
part
like-
one fails, we've still got part two.
Or if part 2 fails, we still did
We've
part
at
1.
least done part one, yeah.
So like the plan is summon, do the thing. If for whatever reason we can't summon, backup plan, go to the ridge, do the same thing, but by summoning we just
Earlier.
go, hey, Agra and Sasoth, look, pick it.
Yeah.
and hope that that works.
Yep.
So kind of like
Okay.
summon with cookie rather than summon with magic.
Yep.
And then if that doesn't work,
Hasty human summoning.
then we really gotta stop them
So-
opening.
so-
I feel like then we
Right.
run.
Yeah.
There's
So to
definitely a then we
finish-
book it point.
That's if we fail. If
Yeah.
we failed to stop them opening the urn, and we failed to cast this, then we run. Then the world is over. But
Yes, then we run and enjoy the last 6 months of humanity.
Yeah.
So to summarize, we'll focus on part 1, and the ingredients for part 1 are the urns.
That's what I'm doing.
Making urns for the capturing.
Summoning spell, which Michelle knows, and the binding spell, which I should probably now learn.
I know, so she knows the bind. Wait.
She knows
No, she
binding.
knows binding, not summoning.
But she can learn summoning for assistance.
Whatever's going to be the fastest thing.
Okay.
The next week.
Summoning
Could she
summoning
learn?
is the only one unlearned presently. Binding would only be if you want to basically be a one-man show and be able to do all of them together and not rely on outside parties.
But you're kind of going to have to, because without the ley lines, there's not enough magic.
Yeah.
And also, you trust Michelle currently. It's just us.
Yeah. It seems smart for Michelle, who is the person in the chair calling the shots, to learn this spell.
So you'd like to go for summoning, Gaspar?
I guess so. Can we both learn it? Can we form a study group?
I would like Michelle to help me with the urns, please.
Yeah, and so she'll do
Oh,
that,
that's right.
and
Can I
Okay,
help with
gotcha.
the urns?
yeah, we could swap that if you like Michelle to work on learning the summoning as well. Yeah.
Otherwise, I can toggle off ley lines and help out.
I
But
think the ley lines will be important because part 2 still relies on us knowing where to go.
Yeah.
If we can find, I don't know whether like finding ley lines is off the table now. If we can find some closer to home, great. That would really make this an easier part 1 easier.
It's no one's
but-
priority. Currently, it'll be if Jim like crits or something, because he's looking into a separate thing.
Oh, okay.
He's looking into the ridge particularly, so like you know where
So
those
we
ley lines
know-
are there.
yeah.
Well, it's fine in the specifics.
Because it would really suck to be relying on that second part of the plan and then realize we don't know where we're going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I can help. I'm pretty sure I can help with the urns and the runes because I've got a fair bit of Celtic and
Absolutely.
a bit of Gaelic Celtic languages.
And Nancy, that's just kind of like a secondary one. If you'd like to look into the alternative ley lines, something you could do in a cult with a penalty dice, or a library use. Otherwise, you can just go into that.
Library, you say? Okay.
Yeah. It'll be with
library
penalty
use
dice,
with a
and it'll be
penalty.
hard, but there's a
Library
there's a
use
chance.
penalty hard and then assist with the urn.
Okay, awesome. All right, so here's where I have everyone. Luce and Nancy are going to base out of the Order of the Stones building to complete the urns, with Nancy reviewing the work and Luce applying the changes as needed. As sort of side tasks, Luce is going to look into getting a tattoo done, a defensive ward, which may be able to be applied to others. It's going to be credit rating with a penalty dice. And Nancy is going to look into any alternate ley lines that may exist within the Massachusetts area or sort of general New England. That is going to be a library use, a hard library use with a penalty dice. Paul is going to set up in the libraries with his cartographer's kit and things, and he's going to make a navigation straight roll to look into the ridge region where the ley lines may cross over and basically where they're going to find the bad guys to go and kill them. Gaspar is going to be inducted into the Order of the Stone as a formal member. This is going to allow him, well, he is going to read the 3rd scroll, which will have a sanity hit. And he is going to learn the summoning for Agran Talon Soth. Michelle, assisting in the ritual, will also learn the summoning spell throughout this week. Gaspar, you are going to have a hit where you probably don't have Nancy's support, I
Well, that was what I was going to
suppose.
say, is that if the hit sends him mad, which it probably will, I will fuck off the library use roll of finding local
it's-
ley lines, and I
it's
will
guaranteed
use...
to.
Okay, well then,
still indefinite.
never mind that.
Okay.
My other thing will be psychoanalysis to
Helping Gaspar out.
to give Gaspar a I keep
Fine
picturing
chance.
like the comforting somebody with like a broom from a distance. They're there.
On the other side of the very thick plate glass. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
They're there.
That'll be psychoanalysis with a penalty, because you had divided attention, but that will hopefully allow you to help out. Okay, I think we have our directions. Let's begin with Paul.
Where
Do you
to
want to
start?
give us that navigation roll, please?
Very good. Now, you did say it was in the library. Is that going to apply a penalty check?
No, it will not. You'll be okay.
all
Just
right,
do a straight
very
roll.
good.
Keep your head down and do your work. Doesn't matter anyway.
79, unfortunately.
Paul's found his weak point.
Outside my luck. I don't think I can think of a good push circumstance for that. So I think
Banned
it's
from
just-
all libraries in the New England region.
I can't handle it. No, I think it fails, sadly.
Okay.
This
you
is
have
surprisingly tense for downtime. Like, downtime is meant to be downtime, but all of our
supposed to be
downtime
relaxing.
activities are like, if this doesn't go well, then
I've had two
the rest
fail
of
while
us.
In the
trying
world
to
might
learn
end.
anything about this ridge. I hate this mountain. It sounds boring.
you have a general look into the area. It doesn't seem super inhabited or anything. There's not a ton of information, and you basically all right, I can see pretty much one road in. I guess we'll just drive down that and assume it'll get us there.
I've got a little note card with the turns that I have to take, and it's like I don't even need both.
It's none.
Perfect. Okay. We'll go across to Luce. If you could give us a credit rating roll with a penalty dice, and this will be looking into your tattoo.
That's close.
luckable.
Ooh, wow.
Okay.
Very
32.
luckable.
11 points would secure a rune for another person, if you'd like to get 2. Find someone who has the time.
I mean, I think my question is is there anyone else who particularly wants to have one?
This is also from your
Express
side.
that they
Is there someone that you feel like you need to protect or help otherwise?
I mean, the only person that I think it would be beneficial to have this on is who anyone can be like, hey, can I have it? But for Luce, it feels like Gaspar's the person, but Gaspar does not trust Luce.
That's true.
So there's an
And
element
he's
of
a little busy.
yeah. So it's if
I mean, you can
Yeah.
always just make yourself a human shield.
you just get 2 tattoos, that'd be very
No, I
funny.
mean, you. I mean, actually, yeah.
One on
the
each
front,
fist.
one on the back,
You son of a gun.
one on your front, one on your back, and then you can just pick Gaspar up and take him places.
hang on, so it's
No, you don't need to.
You could get it on
I
a
don't,
shield.
I don't
You could
need
get it
to
on a
pick you up, or I
normal
don't
shield.
need 2
You don't need 2
tattoos.
tattoos.
You don't need 2 tattoos.
But then I can take 2 major wounds and I'll be fine.
Well, you'll have
Like-
other problems, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anyone who desperately wants?
I don't think anyone's gonna have the time either.
Okay.
You've got the time because this is the thing you're rolling for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright.
If that's if there's no one else who desperately wants it, then
I expressed interest. I said it's a good idea. I'm all for it. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah. Paranoia doesn't come into it because it's my spell. I'm
That's
doing
true.
it.
You'd
It's
be
all
the
good.
one activating
That's
it.
true.
And also, I trust the tattoo artist. I don't have any pre. I feel bad, y'all. Jackson likes art and gym, but Gaspar's having
Just
a hard
doesn't
time,
trust-
you
Gaspard's having a
see?
bad time.
oh,
Straight
well,
up
in that
bad
case, yeah,
time.
I will find some time in between all of the studying to tap Nancy on the shoulder and then kind of go, is he all right to have a quick chat?
Oh, right. This is about the thing, about the. Yeah. I mean, you'll have to ask him. I think he's.
Well, I just mean, is he, is he
Oh,
busy? Is he
he's
open?
He's been actually doing really, really well this week. I think the fire thing was.
Oh yeah, how'd you go with that?
Um,
How'd
well,
you?
it was definitely fire that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit happening in the world. Apparently it's always existed and we just didn't know.
That tracks.
So, welcome to the fold. And I don't mean that in like a, Order of the Stone kind of culty sort of way. I just mean, welcome to seeing things through a lens of like, oh god, some weird shit's happening. I mean, I'm superstitious by default, but this is a little above and beyond what my ma used to tell me about when I was little,
Right. I mean, it's one thing to be told this stuff. I mean, I've read some really fascinating papers, especially from Southeast Asia. I mean, damn. But I always assumed people were exaggerating when they brought those stories back because they felt like they somehow had to justify their trip. I always felt, these are things that cultures may definitely be doing, but I always felt my colleagues were maybe exaggerating the impact either through malaria-driven delusions or just a need to justify themselves of their own expensive trips. Turns out maybe not, which opens a whole... He's been doing really well.
Good, great. I have no idea what your education, the PhD, whatever, is all about, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not saying you should, like sign up to any kind of weird occult society, but I'm starting to think you might actually get some benefit about asking Michelle, just a few more things. I mean, honestly, at this point, they really feel like they could use the help, and I'm kind of thinking about maybe, going, all right. I mean, I don't necessarily want to be part of you can call me up at
thing.
Yeah, but if they need like a contractor every now and again, if I've got to sign a little waiver saying like, yeah, I join, but not in the join kind of way, you can call me if you need me. All right, great.
I mean, do they have a union?
Does anyone? It's the 1920s. Do we got unions yet? I mean, I'm pretty sure my Oh yes, I got a union. It's called Don't Fuck With Me. Anyway, Gaspar, how you doing, friend?
As you're saying this, Gaspar goes past in like large brown robes with a golden chalice in one hand and a knife in the other. Your induction's in like 15 minutes. You're due in the lobby.
I found an artist that can do us some tattoos if you want to, come and get one, and I'll fork out the cost for the actual artwork itself if you don't mind doing, your kind of thing afterwards.
Yep, let's make it happen.
Right. Good luck. And then Luke's just like, again, still like has downgraded from the really nice like wool suit, whatever, into more like back into like overalls, but they're more for land use. They're not quite as like treated for wet weather. But they still have like a shirt underneath with rolled up sleeves and like sort of stomping around in much, much heavier boots. And it's just kind of like soot streaked in a really sort of haphazard way. Like Luce is mid getting welding shit done and has gone off during like a break to try and find something, has come in, done this, sees the robes, and is just like, well, I guess we both have a uniform then, and then off I go. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I will spend the 11 points of luck so that I can get both myself and Gaspar a very nice, sexy tattoo of "fuck you, Agran Salons."
Yes, son of a gun. Fantastic.
And gently sod off to the rest of the minions. Not a full fuck off, but like
just a general direction. Perfect. So yeah, with that secured, you can line it up for a little bit later in the week. Gaspar, for your inauguration, you'll be clothed in the long brown robes of the Order. You'll be granted one of their cruel double-edged knives and loaned a large true golden chalice studded with jewels, of which there is one in each chapter, and bid to drink for it. The actual ceremony is done behind closed doors, so Nancy will not be allowed to join. And it is done in the attendance of the rest of this chapter's order. Michelle leads the assembly, although there is a supporting sort of old wizened man who is the leader of this chapter, and they teach you some basic Gaelic to get through the words, the sort of songs and hymns of the order. There is a good bit of pouring the blood into the wine and drinking of it. You have to make a number of promises to be loyal to the chapter. And you realize that particularly the sections that the older gentleman leads are much more about like loyalty to the chapter and its brotherhood. They really emphasize that, and securing the foundation for future. You also need to sign some legitimate like papers, like, and I joined this and I will pay the yearly dues and I need to meet at least 2 meetings per annum and, you know, support this and that. And you kind of do, like, I get the impression Gaspar's not a real... What's your, like, law skill and, like, your credit rating and similar? Like, do you think you're a bit oblivious to some of these things? Basically, do you think you could be taken advantage of financially?
I should think so, yeah.
Yeah.
At this age, at this time?
That kind of
with everything
happens.
that's happened to me?
Yeah, they tie you in a few circles, and if
Does
Paul
Michelle
survives
at all
this...
kind of...
It's this
help
chapter's place. So she oversees the, like, come in, but also they have a bit of this in Ireland as well. This is a more modern order now, and even over there, a lot of it is also about hoarding power and making sure that those within are stronger than those without. And for that, those without that want to come within need to give over some of their things. I suspect things like the Boggy Sea are at risk of being signed over. They're still yours, but it's just like the order can call on them, but also they'll help you as well. So if you happen to be, you know, arrested, they can pull some strings. It's just, Gas is probably not aware of this, but just you sign a lot of documents that build a bit of a web around you, and you find it a bit harder to get out of here than you maybe thought you would. How do you think you handle this, Gaspar, as a slightly paranoid person? Sorry, indefinitely insane paranoid person.
I think pretty well. I think, like what I've said previously, is my lingering paranoia for my indefinite insanity is focused around the people who were there when it happened, and that wasn't the order necessarily. I think that, like, yeah, Gaspar's a lot more vulnerable, if anything.
There was a bunch of order people around who were getting, you know, summarily mauled and turned into horrifying beasties, and Tobias did set a house on fire and tried to set us on fire too.
Indefinite insanity, it doesn't have to be rational.
Yep.
Nope.
It's dramatic, damn it.
It's important to point out the illogical nature of it in, like, outside of the scope of the game, but it is.
Oh yeah, if this actually happens to you, don't join a cult. Actually go back to your friends and family.
Don't ever join a cult. Just don't do it.
PSA.
But yeah, well then...
I think he's going to be super vulnerable. I think this is going to work a treat.
And with that in mind, you do find they weave a very pleasant web. It's a comfortable place. You are welcome to come and stay here. They have quarters that you need not pay for because they've already got your bank details. And they are... You're inside the circle now. You know, it's welcoming in a way that... it probably isn't long-term healthy. You find yourself, while here, like, just kind of supported and uplifted, and then outside it's like, you know, a bit of a colder world. You're given space to study, and the scrolls are afforded to you. Additionally, Nancy is able to visit you during this time, and while you're working on it, Nancy, you suspect he may be vulnerable in this period, and particularly these, you know, scrolls, which, maddening or, like, mythos or no, have been a, you know, trigger point in the past. You may want to be on hand as he studies them. As Gaspar sort of steeps into this, by the time you come back to him, he's got these scrolls, like, rolled out, and he's beginning to try and, you know, translate elements and study them and see these spells through his own lens. Gaspar, you have learnt 2 mythos spells. You are working on a 3rd. You are a veritable sorcerer by any definition of the word. You are an expert in this field. You know more spells than Michelle. You know way more spells than Tobias did. How are you doing this? What is your process? No one can teach you how to do it better than you teach them how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, as Michelle's learning the same spell alongside you, she can help with the words and the Gaelic where it's necessary to get the originals. You are better at learning these. You have cast more of these. What does the process look like? And with Nancy to assist.
I think you know, his treasure possession is still his old copy of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which he read and reread back in, you know, the cabin on the sea. And I think, like, you know, after you read a book so many times, you know what's going to happen before it happens, and you know that it gives you a sense of power. It gives you a sense of comfort, especially, like, you know, little kids in storybooks. That's why they like hearing the same story, because they know what's going to happen. I think that's how he treats learning the spells. Is he like treats it like a story. Like he goes over it enough times that he starts to, you know, be able to. He feels like he can predict what's going to happen next in the text of the spell. And so in that way, he has power over the spell, if that makes sense. Doesn't make any sense. I'm just making it up,
no,
but it sounds good.
I think it does. I mean, especially you, when you were younger and reading your stories, you maybe pictured yourself in the role of the characters. And these spells are taught in the format of, this is the story of the Druids and how they were able to do these things to Agran Talon Soth when it was first summoned. And clothed in the colors of their order, it's all the easier to picture yourself, Gaspar, on those green hills with clouds overhead, casting the binding words and chanting them with your brotherhood, and the other druids to try and bring this force to bear. The third fragment discusses principally how the druids ultimately recaptured Agran Talon Soth, and Michelle had given you the kind of the high level of like get in the ward, break it down in like practical, like step-by-step information. You now see it in the just gilded story format where it's got a lot more detail and a lot more fluff. It also talks a bit about how the surviving druids created the Order of the Stone to guard those urns and to swear that they would maintain their teachings and pass the secrets along generation to generation just in case something ultimately happens. It's very representative of the order today, and you can kind of see how it came to be. It's very interesting, your character coming in from the perspective of chaos happening and joining the order, if not forming it, out of necessity, because it's very in what the original druids needed to do, and you have a lot of similarities with them. Unfortunately, this extra detail will have a sanity hit, and you are going to lose 1d6.
Right.
It doesn't even matter if I roll a 5, does it? It's the same.
It's all one big whack.
Excellent.
We love a bit of insanity.
Make this happen. 1d6. Bonk. Bonk. Oh, I'm good.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Good.
So
No
you're gonna lose
You're
one
still gonna
sanity, and
Go a bit, but you
you're gonna
know.
lose one sanity, and you can increase your mythos rating by 1.
Ooh.
And we're going to paint the scene a little bit. You've been studying these spells for several days. You were given access to the tomes and quarters so that you could pore over them. Michelle comes and goes, conducting her own investigations, but you work long hours, late into the night, seeing the sort of rain pouring on the window from outside. It's one such night when you think you're finally beginning to crack it, and you've got the bulk of the binding spell summoned. Nancy is in attendance when things begin to shift. Nancy, in preparation of this, Gaspar's kind of just feverishly working. What are you doing in this scene? What's your kind of method here when you think something may happen?
I think I've probably got a copy of that. I think I've probably got his favorite book on hand. I think I've probably got that book with me. And it'll just be keeping an eye out for when he gets twitchy, because I know how I know how this is going to manifest for him. It's going to be, he's going to want to isolate himself. He's going to want to fuck off everybody around him. Possibly not Michelle, because the Order's his new support structure. But then again, that may backfire, and it may be the Order becomes the target of his paranoia. It's a bit unpredictable, but I know it'll manifest in isolation, and I'm not going to let him do that.
You're on hand. You have familiar tools ready in the same format, like, more books to read so that he can be, distracted across them and you can relate to him.
I think what it'll be is breaking through it with, I'll be asking him questions about the book while it's there in front of him as both a visual, textual, hopefully there'll be like I firmly believe in like grounding people, and being able to kind of like thrust this book into his hands with something that he can physically hold and touch as a memory that is something rooted in this reality that hopefully has a full sensory experience with it, and asking him questions about it. I think what I've been doing leading up to all this is reading the book so I can ask intelligent questions about it and kind of talk about the structure and the plot and some of the imagery that's used to just get him to, through the book, get him to come back to where we are today.
Perfect. Gaspar, rain is drumming on the window outside, and it's distracting you from your work. Nancy is pacing back and forth, and occasionally you can hear floorboards creaking underneath her footsteps. She's unaware of it, talking very softly underneath her breath to herself, and she's got your favorite book, and it's out of the corner of your eye. She keeps twisting it a little bit, just like a nervous habit or something, and thumbing at the pages where there's a tear that's been slowly growing for years, but you've been able to keep untouched. It's your prized possession. It's your favorite thing. And she doesn't mean it, but she keeps fucking with it. I'm going to pass this across to the two of you. Nancy, when it comes to it, it is going to be a psychoanalysis roll with a penalty dice, would be what you'd need to do to try and break Gaspar out of it. But I'm going to leave this scene in your capable hands. Gaspar?
I think I could probably use a bit of space now. Actually, if you just want to put that down and leave me for a bit, I think I'm just got to focus. I think I'm gonna put my head down, and I think I just need some quiet, and that would be good.
I don't want to put it down anywhere that it might get misplaced. I'm going to come over and like hand it physically to you. Can you take this and put it maybe in your jacket pocket, or I don't want to just leave it lying around. It's very precious. I did have a couple of questions about it. So I know you're really busy, but it's been a fantastic read, and I see why you love it so much. As a sailor, do you find that the imagery of the sea is accurate, or do you think it's been? I've never actually been out on a boat, so has it been overblown? Has it been kind of? Do you find it matches up to the reality while holding the book out?
Picking up the plot of Adventures of Huckleberry Finn that I probably should have done before.
Your expression, by the way, Jackson, that perfect was just
I was going to say, as Nancy approaches you to talk, she sits sort of a little bit just leaning against the table in front of you, and it pushes the goblet that you have been loaned slightly out of the way, and as it shifts, your eyes catch for a moment on the long, cruel knife that has been given to you by the Order that trusts you greatly, and that you are currently using as a paperweight. And you remember how nice it was that they gave it to you, and they trusted you with this dangerous thing.
Do I need to roll because we're out of combat? Does a Barrow Madness take a few hours?
You are currently in it. We're going to see what you basically do. You have a particular thing? Do you have a way that you would like it to manifest, like in a singular action? Otherwise, we can have Nancy roll psychology to see if she can basically see that you are beginning to snap.
Let's start with that, because I'm hoping psychoanalysis is gonna snap me out of it.
Okay, well, let's do a psychology and see if you can.
Oh, but
Do a
you're saying that like I've got to like.
You're just hitting the
show
edge.
them
There is
that
going to
I'm
be
nuts.
something.
Yeah,
We've
okay,
definitely,
yeah.
and especially when we spoke previously.
Something.
Yeah, this is going to
Before I
manifest.
roll
This has been building for a period. So in that case, Nancy, why don't you give us a psychology roll and see if you can kind of plot the. This is going to be with a penalty dice because this was your secondary thing, and then we're going to just for those ones. If it actually gets into like Gaspar swanging, it'll all be beat by beat.
No.
Oh no, that is still a success for you. Actually, you have really good
Oh
psychology.
yeah, it is. I mean, I'm doing my PhD.
What? 90?
Yeah, because remember
Good
who this character was based
lord.
off. I've tanked a bunch of other stuff, but because this character was based off somebody
Yeah.
That's an
a
impressive
lot
score.
older.
Yep. So, Nancy is able to. You're tired as well, Nancy, from the work that you're doing, but you can see that this isn't quite getting through to Gaspar at the moment, and that he may yet do something rash. Nancy's going to have an opportunity to make that psychoanalysis roll and snap Gaspar out of it. But first, Gaspar, can I get an intention from you of basically what you're going for?
Yes. Well, I think we said my band of madness is just going to be like more paranoia. And Nancy's getting a bit too close. I'd like to have the knife in my hand now. I'd like to be looking for the exits. I'm going to be like, like a corner dog.
With the intention
In a
of...
cage.
So, is your intention to get your things and escape? Or is your intention to make Nancy leave your space? You've run before. This space was given to you.
It would... Yeah, my instinct is to escape.
Okay.
Even though it's less dramatic, but I'll gladly stab anyone in my way.
Okay. Love a stab. All right.
That's how Gaspar's feeling.
Okay. There's a window and you have the scrolls and things. There may be a chance. Okay. Nancy, do you want to give us that psychoanalysis roll and see if you can break Gaspar out of this before he does something rash?
Was a penalty. Yeah.
She's good.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I have literally those two stats, by the way. Everything else is like borderline
very
base.
medium, very moderate.
Base or borderline base.
Hey.
I've got occult and head shit. That's it.
You have your niche.
I'm min-maxed. Fuck.
Gaspar and Nancy, how does this unfold? As Nancy is able to, once again, bring Gaspar back down. Although it is getting more tenuous and perilous every time.
I think I'm just real calm about it. I think I see him kind of looking at the knife, and I'm aware that that is definitely a possibility. I clock that. But I don't move, I don't shift. I'm very, very chill, calm, just still leaning against the table. I don't shift back or anything. It's no big deal. You know, it's no big deal that the goblet got knocked a little bit. It's no big deal that the knife's there. I'm just asking you a question about your favorite book and what it's like on the water in real life and compared to, you know, how it's presented in the book. Do you find that it's accurately represented, or is it a little bit, I mean, it's obviously romanticized, right? But is the romanticizing accurate? Is that how it makes you feel? And the book is going to smell like the ship, and it's going to smell like your grandmother, and it's going to feel like lying in a cabin and thumbing through the pages, and it's going to be a real relic of a better time.
I'm gonna fall for it. Well,
Line and
okay.
sinker.
Well, here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know about Huckleberry Finn, actually. And again, should have looked it up beforehand. Go on my like
kinda sprung this on you.
ultra specific like nerd rant. Well, actually, here's what people don't get about what Mark Twain was going for.
And you're brandishing the knife the whole way as you go
Yeah.
to emphasize points.
Here's what thing.
Maybe at first, but yeah, it quickly devolves into unedited 3-hour YouTube video essay.
Of all basically the cliff notes of Huckleberry Finn, unabridged. So I guess not cliff
Does
notes.
Alex need to take sanity damage?
At this point, I'm not sure that 3 hours is Cliff Notes. I think that might just be the book.
The book,
Yeah, it's not a long book,
A
I don't think.
beat by beat
I haven't read it in
retelling.
a very long time.
Yeah, fantastic. Gaspar, you're able to be kind of drawn out of this and re-cemented into reality. You're not picturing yourself
goodness.
in robes, wielding powers unimaginable. You're picturing yourself sailing down the Mississippi, I think, in the companionship of friends. And it reminds you very much of your time on the Foggy Sea with the people that you love. So, you have learnt the spell, the binding. I will share it with you now. I'm going to give access to this one to all. And I'm going to give you, which one do we say? The binding, right? Yeah. It's going to go to Jackson. It is a pretty big investment. The binding is a 10. There's a preparation for the vessels, which has been completed. That is ready to go, and it's only 1 round to actually bind it in. However, as you will see, it's a pretty heavy magic point hit.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a spicy meatball.
That's right. A very good reason to find a nice ley line. Michelle will also attempt to learn this one. We're going to break away from this format slightly because come the Thursday or so, you and the others will dress not in robes, but in black, because Paul has organized a funeral for Captain Green that all of you will attend. We'll not do it minute by minute, but Paul, what is the overall affair? Like, where is this like set? How have you tried to personalize this? And then just if anyone has any particular, beats they want to mention that happen here. And then for Gaspar in particular, you will have an opportunity to restore some sanity because it was a important person to you, and truthfully, it was to Luce and Paul as well. And Nancy, you almost feel as if you know her. It's as if you're there's a person that connected the two threads.
I feel connected.
Weird. Yeah, Jim, what do you think you've organized?
We mentioned unions a second ago, and I think that there was a pretty active sort of like sailors community and role that Bernie was clued into.
Yep.
We got involved in all of this because the harbor master at Boston, I believe, pulled us into it because Bernie was a trusted entity. So I think I've managed to get the word out, and there is probably a procedure for this, and I've followed it to the T as Bernie would have wanted, I think. And I like to think that a couple of other vessels or people have, just taken the train up from other boats. Maybe that harbor master is there.
You'd probably do it in Boston. Given the scope of time passing, you guys would just drive up there or take the train. Yeah. And that's home, not Arkham,
That makes sense. Yeah, I've done up there, and I think there's probably a few rituals that have already sort of emerged. So lining along the banks of Boston Harbor, sort of standing about kind of there, that sort of kind of general thing. Yeah. I bought my date from the library because you've got to bring a date to a funeral.
It's a social event at the end of the day.
Exactly. I think I'm picturing bagpipes and sending something out to sea. Yeah. Not the ship itself, probably, but a token. Yeah.
A spiritual thing. Yeah, I think that tracks. The way, I guess, what I would picture would be like probably a brief functional ceremony, like service held in like the harbor master's got like a community hall or something, and then the real service, which takes place at the pub nearby after and along the dock, and then like until pretty late at the night, people along the docks will be like hanging out, telling stories, and kind of just remembering.
I'm guessing that this is one of the few instances probably where there's some alcohol around and no one really looks
pubs,
too
damn.
hard.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I think like for that specifically, it'd be like there's a bottle of like something relatively strong that's under the bar that is known in the community as like this only comes out when one of ours goes, and all of the
Yeah.
cops are like, keep it in the bar, but
Yeah.
don't give a fuck, don't make trouble.
Yeah.
We'll be over here. It's like honestly, it's like
funeral
schoolies.
whiskey. Yeah,
100%.
funeral whiskey.
100%.
Funeral whiskey.
Yeah, fantastic.
Everyone understands that people need a way of coping, and if you try and get a bunch of sailors and make them cope in any other way, it just ends up in a brawl.
I
You want
also,
a riot? That's how you get a riot.
I also think that I probably I don't think that this is probably a well-meaning gesture that I think ends up backfiring. I'm trying to involve Gaspar as much as I can in the proceedings, and I probably go, so there's like an expectation usually that like a first mate would make a speech or something like that. So I got very briefly say, 1 or 2 lines of thank you for coming. We all know Bernie and have a lot to say, but I think that the best person to speak would actually be Gaspar. And I kind of didn't properly prime him for this. So it's meant to be well-meaning, but I could see it being very much interpreted the other way.
This actually might be a perfect time to... I was just reading the rules. So I thought it was just like you just gain a D3 or something. I was like going to look up the number for what you get for interacting with a important
I'm assuming
figure.
it's 1.
No. Well, no, you could get a D6 here, Gaspar. You make a
wow. I'll have that
sanity.
then.
You
Thank
make
you.
a sanity roll. If you
Gosh darn
succeed it, you get a D6. If you fail it, you lose a point of sanity.
Oh my god!
So
Absurd.
here's
Trigger a ballad madness.
what's gonna happen.
Oh my god!
If you attend the funeral, Gaspar, you'll make that roll. You could just avoid it. You could just dip and basically no show. I could also see Nancy getting you a bonus dice on this by assisting. So I think, Gaspar, as you're like getting ready that morning, like putting the tie on, you're feeling pretty fucking shaky. Like part of you just wants to put on the robes and stay here and do book stuff. So actually, I'll sit that there for a second. Luce, what is your attendance and how involved do you think you are in it? And then we'll kind of get Gaspar and Nancy's attachment as well.
If I can just add one thing, maybe I get the message to Gaspar via Luce that he will be expected to speak potentially.
Lovely, because that. Yeah. So Luce is going to acquire an appropriately like charcoal grey wool suit, very much in the style of the kind of the way the slightly more fitted style of the way like a lot of the old time pictures of like coal miners and stuff would dress, like in that quite dark. For some reason, they still went down the mines in fucking suits, or at least that's what they were photographed in. So who knows? Definitely like has the... I think I've established before that Luce is less religious, more superstitious.
Yeah.
But in this time period, absolutely there, like religion's still a really core part of a lot of people's lives, absolutely a core part of my mother's life. So I do think there is like a set of pretty worn rosary beads that Luce has as like a thing that is more tied to like the superstition of having it or having something religious like when you're in those spaces, but will have it as a thing for the service itself. If Paul comes up to Luce and says, yo, tell Gaspar he gotta speak, Luce is going to look at Paul deadpan for about 30 seconds. And if nothing happens within that 30 seconds, she's gonna go, all right, and then just go.
I think I come to you and like I clearly think this is like the best idea I've had. And as you know, we've maybe been a bit out of contact with Gaspar, and I really feel like this is going to like show him that we care and really give him an opportunity. So I think it's going to be like this enthusiasm that slowly starts to bleed down over the course of 30 seconds. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think you're just getting, I'm Mr. Garrett, and then you're like very much like, you've told Luce to do something on a ship. She's gonna do it. There's a strong, like, it's not even that there's a sense that you think that she thinks is a bad idea or doesn't want to, just like there is a difference between Luce on board with something and Luce doing something she is being told to do.
Yeah.
And so it's that response, which 50-50 on whether you're like, either Luce doesn't agree with this or what. Like, it's a very weird thing. But yes, Luce will go and find Nancy and say, Mr. Garrett has suggested that Gaspar give a speech at the funeral. I think that's it. Just says, Mr. Garrett has suggested that Gaspar give like, that is it. No commentary, no nothing, still relatively deadpan, very much like, someone gave me an order, I'm doing the thing.
And why is Mr. Garrett not telling me this? Or indeed, why is Mr. Garrett not telling Gaspar this himself? He sent you?
Mr. Garrett, as I understand it, has quite a lot of things that need to be organized for the funeral. Continually, just no input, just facts.
I see. We'll see how he feels about it. I do actually think it might be a good idea. Verbalizing some of the well, I'm sure you understand. It is actually not a bad idea. Sure. I'll pass it on.
You get a very, like, again, a little, like, sort of salute, and just then, what's your surname? Do I know that?
Lewis, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be like, I'm Lewis, and then just like, just full.
It's Nancy.
Right. Nancy. Ship, weird to go by first names. Most of the time it's last names, unless you're like, or your title. So Lewis is just like, okay.
Lewis is my brother, and let me tell you, he got bullied.
Haha, Lewis.
Lewis.
Wait. Please tell me someone came up with Lewis squared and then just leaves.
Nancy, do you want to speak with Gaspar?
Yeah.
The joy of playing whispers between these poor
And it's gotten to where it
characters.
needs to go.
It's
What's
so
that?
stupid.
I have
By
to
this-
run the funeral.
Yeah, that's it. Completely different requirement.
This is so dumb.
Light knock on the door. When you're decent, Gaspar.
Door throws itself open. Jasper standing there, wild-eyed, robe half on, robe half off.
You okay? You're
Yeah.
not okay. That was a silly
Just
question.
busy.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm fine. I'm just busy. What? What is it?
You know, my grandmother's funeral was the worst day of my life, and I'm not going to talk about it, so I understand.
Okay.
So you're not
talk.
going to be okay today, and that's fine. Paul's busy, but he suggested you may want to say a few words at the service.
Do you think that's a good idea?
I kind of do, if you feel up to it, but it's a tough one. There'll be people there you don't know, and public speaking can be one of those things, you know? Maybe not at the service, but maybe at the pub afterward. Or if it is at the service,
Let's see how I feel.
did she have a favorite poem, or is there a line of text or poetry that you think reminds you of her that you might read instead of having to come up with something yourself at such late notice?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just can I go last? Go last and see how I feel?
Yeah.
Okay. See how I feel.
And
I think we're leaving in about 10 minutes.
cut to funeral Paul going, "Hey Gaspar, we should hear from you."
Ran back up the line and got to me as like, and going first with a large
Yeah,
long
which big applause from everyone in the audience. So we resume back at the funeral's been held, and in the hall now with a couple of drinks dispersed, people are standing around and sharing stories, and the time comes where it is expected Gaspar will speak, and everyone knows of Gaspar. Your grandmother was very popular in the area, and you'll learn that she spoke very fondly of you. You yourself, though, are quite new to the community. You only kind of joined the Foggy Sea over this summer. You don't know most of the people here, but they're all looking at you like aunts and uncles that, you know, hear the stories from your mum, but you don't share. And they're all waiting for you to speak. You find some comfort in Nancy standing at your shoulder and knowing that the book is still tucked inside your shirt pocket. Jackson, do you want to do the sanity roll first and see and let that impact your speech, or how would you like to handle this?
I think Gaspar will get up, and thanks to the mighty power of Google, I have a Mark Twain poem in his pocket. I think he'll get up and say the poem, and then, depending on the audience reaction, may sway his sanity roll.
Okay.
If you know what I mean?
I love it.
Like, he'll finish reading and then look up.
Fantastic.
Warm summer sun, Mark Twain. I don't know. Warm summer sun, shine kindly here. Warm southern wind, blow softly here. Green sod above, lie light, lie light. Good night, dear heart. Good night, good night.
Amazing. Would you like to make a... Do you want to make a roll attached to it? I will very happily give you a bonus dice on the sanity roll through Nance and through the poem, and I think you do have the support of the people here, even if you don't know it. Okay?
Well, that's it. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to look up, and then depending on how his brain is at,
and how you're
he's gonna
perceiving it,
read the audience's faces differently.
All right. Can you give us a sanity roll with a bonus dice? Holy shit.
Wow.
It's either 0 or a 1 or a 2. No.
Oh my god.
What was I thinking? Teenage boy reading poetry? Oh no!
So, if failed, you lose a sanity point, which for you is immediately going to trigger a bout of madness. Furthermore, it is suggested that the keeper work with the player to permanently alter the backstory. So the backstory element that you're interacting was with your grandmother. That was your most important person. Jackson, I would like to suggest that your most important person is no longer your grandmother, but perhaps a member of the Order of the Stone or Agran Talon Soth itself. Not in that you worship it, but that the most important tie in your life is stopping it.
Yeah.
Man, we're fucking this boy up real good.
Oh yeah.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. Gaspar looks up and sees, in his mind's eye, everyone, judging him, judging the fact that all he can do is say a funeral, say a prayer, say a poem at the funeral, and he couldn't save her. He couldn't do anything to stop the monster. He couldn't do anything to stop the creatures. So, fine. Actually, no. People don't matter. Poetry doesn't matter. Funerals don't matter. All that matters is whether you stop the monster or not. Actually, that's all that matters.
You're going to have a bout. We've discussed, we knew that Gaspar was a little close to the edge as we went into this last chapter, so we've discussed exit strategies and what might happen if things go that far. Jackson rather, do you think we're at that kind of point, or The other alternative would
Maybe.
be Nancy can try to help. She was on hand to do so. At this point, we're going to move that psychoanalysis roll down to a hard, because I think this is repeated things. He's had a lot of stuff go wrong. Regardless,
Stressful situation.
Yeah,
It's not open.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of mechanically we can, you're not permanently lost or anything. You can continue, but
Gaspar is at very least now having like fully humiliated himself, about to like just storm off and head back to the order, back to his room, to finish learning the spell. Unless Nancy can like chase him down. I hate to be the center of attention for for 2 sessions in a row.
It's
Very good, I
great. Well, I think at the very least you do race out. Embarrassed, angry, all of the above. Gaspar rushes off. Who might pursue?
Definitely.
Nancy goes after. Luce and Paul, are you comfortable? You're kind of aware that Gaspar's wary of you, but are you kind of willing to just let Nancy take that, or do you follow?
I think I am probably, I feel bound to maintain order on the ship, which is now the funeral kind of thing. Like it's so I probably kind of like hurriedly end up back at the podium, muttering a little something and going through.
I think it's as you get up there and kind of you just like reassert order. The general reception is positive to Gaspar's poem. It was very touching. It was very appropriate, and actually, his grandmother was so taken with him, she'd shared his love of Mark Twain with them already. Like, they even know how much it meant to him. And you possibly don't even realize how far along Gaspar is. Like, you're like, oh, it's just emotion and he's had to step away. But you can kind of steer the ship.
Truly awful psychology. I just might not. What a great poem. Great job.
I'm sure he'll be back in a little bit. Yeah.
Just an emotional time for him.
How about Luce?
I feel like Luce and Nancy have had a little bit more interaction, and Luce has gotten a sense that Gaspar is not well, and has gotten a sense that Gaspar being not well is somewhat manifesting in a reticence to interact with Luce, which is why Luce has been predominantly going through Nancy, because maybe doesn't fully understand exactly what's going on, but has clocked enough, has enough. I've worked with people who are reticent on boats. I don't necessarily know how to talk to them, but I do know when someone's energy is, leave me the fuck alone. Yep. And you're like, okay, well, if you're asking for space, I'm gonna give you space. If that changes and you start talking to me, the door is open. But Luce is not someone who tries to get someone to come through the door or open the door if they don't want to. Luce is like, you do you. I'm gonna be over here. Yeah, it is 100%. What it is. So, okay. I think if anything, when Gaspar runs out, there might be Luce will turn to Nancy and kind of like just catch eyes. And if Nancy like just sort of is like gonna go, Luce is, I think, gonna be like, cool, Nancy's got it. It's handled. So unless there is a like Nancy kind of wanting another person to come along as backup or something, Luce will stay, because at this point it is also an element of ensuring that, as Paul has pointed out, the funeral still goes well and people still look upon Gaspar kindly, because he is part of the community, even if he doesn't necessarily realize he is. And also, like, Luce is also mourning the loss of someone that they really looked up to and really cared about. So unless they are needed elsewhere, Luce is going to get a little buzzed and get into a fist fight.
Woo!
Like it's going to be one of those rough, like,
fist fight, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be two people who
fight.
like, someone else is going to be a little bit rowdy. I'm going to be a little bit rowdy. We're going to get a little bit up in each other's faces. It's going to look quite like aggressive from the outside, but there's just that little bit of like enthusiastic
consent.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like frustration and anger, but after a couple of goes and like a couple of everyone's gotten a bit tousled, it comes out with a big smile and a hug and like, you know, let's get another round kind of thing.
That's it.
Could I, if I can throw out one more thing briefly, I can imagine that like we went to, you know, there's a local sailor's bar or something that helps out and just like brought over a couple of drinks or something like that, slash the kind of general furnishings of the food. I think it'd be cool if at one point as someone's going past us, bump into them briefly and realize it's Joe who has orchestrated things so that he could attend.
Definitely a little incognito.
A moment of that, and then of course can't acknowledge it, and yeah, I just thought
I love it.
Yeah.
100%.
Probably the diver that we had as
Anna,
well.
I think. Yeah, Annie.
Yeah.
Yep. But Nancy is left to chase after Gaspar, who you will find stalking through one of the alleys, heading back towards the train. That will take you back to. Well, actually, sorry, probably even a bus or something that'll take you to the outskirts, and from there you can walk to the Order of the Stones halls.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to be there.
Join up.
Just like following?
Not following. Definitely make presence known, but not expect anything from Gaspar. Just a curt nod and
Catch up and walk alongside.
yeah, hands in pockets and just companionable silence. Hopefully, aiming for companionable silence of like, I don't need anything from you. I'm not asking anything from you. I'm not even gonna look at you. So like, it's not like I'm judging you or reading anything from you. I'm just here, just a body walking in the same direction.
Oh man, Gaspar doesn't know how to respond to that.
Do you want to?
Oh, you got him good.
Yeah.
I don't need anything from you. Just a person.
Alex, do you want to give us a hard psychoanalysis roll, please?
Here we go. Ooh.
What's it? No, I don't have.
Yeah, there's been 33 points luck on your old pal Gaspar.
I kind of want to.
Don't.
No, because I know where this goes, but Nancy doesn't.
It's cool seeing at the train station.
Is the psychoanalysis success enough that Gaspar doesn't immediately turn on Nancy?
I don't think so. I think this is Nancy. Nancy's not quite as aware of it, but this is a dangerous person getting more and more steadily dangerous, and no, this is attempting to toy with that, or fix it. And unfortunately, if it doesn't work,
this would be enough. Gaspar is not most people.
Nancy, I have an alternative, Alex, is you could attempt to push the roll, because that could set our stakes and remove the spending luck elements.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Jackson, would you mind setting the stakes? Showing the sort of the response, and then something where Nancy can push.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what's going through Gaspar's head right now is like, Agrin Talentsoth is all that matters. Got to get back. Going to finish learning the spell. He's going to try to power slam, power chug, cram the spell in right now just to get it done. Which would crack his sanity a little bit more. But then I don't know if this is bad enough. Like maybe pushing it will be, trying to get away from Nancy, but also just going right up to Michelle and be like, we're doing the summoning right now. Can't wait any longer. Summon now in basement. Go. Okay. But I don't know if that's a push because it's a sort of consequence. It's got to rely on Michelle actually agreeing to go along with it.
I think it sets the stakes at least. So the way I see it is, I think, Nancy, you go along with Gaspar, and the two of you drive back to the Order of the Stone. He needed to leave. It wasn't good there, and he heads back, and he's still on tenterhooks. It's once again late at night, and he's going to go into his study. And you can't let him do this research right now. He's going to do something rash.
Yeah.
I think this is...
I have an idea. For Nancy's stakes for the push. I think this is the point where Nancy basically says, you can't do this on your own. Michelle's done everything she can. You need somebody else to be reading these with you and learning these with you, and this is the point, I think, when Nancy jumps off of like, I don't really want to learn magic, but
Okay.
this then lets Nancy take some of the sanity and magic point hits for something.
This works for me.
And so if it doesn't work, they're both fucked. If it does work, moving forward, we've got like a bit more of a reservoir and a bit more of a buffer.
I like it. So, Nancy basically tells Gaspar that alone he cannot prosper, and these forces are ultimately beyond an individual. That is why we form bonds and have friends.
You
Gaspar
have to wait or let people help you. You're clearly not going to wait.
Gaspar isn't stoked about that and wants to try a spell. So, Nancy, Alex, if you can push that roll, and if this is not a hard success, Gaspar's being a wizard, late at night, isolated.
I was going to say earlier when we were talking about being able to draw magic points from friends, this really is the ultimate friendship is magic moment.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What? What? Huh? I didn't think that's where this was going at all.
I
Did I, to be
was so ready for Gaspar to attempt.
We are so ready.
I was so ready for Gaspar to attempt to summon Agran Talon here late at night and for us to deal with that next session. I think it is close. He considers using the scrolls there and pulling that power from the ridge to the Order of the Stone, Gaspar's base, where his own wards are in place, and single-handedly sealing it away to prove not only his power, but also to redeem himself in the eyes of his grandmother. Nancy gets through to him. You cannot do this by yourself. You need the support of your friends. I think, rules or no, Gaspar, you are no longer indefinitely insane. You have been pulled out of that. For now, you are still on the sanity you're on, but you have been pulled from that. And perhaps may be able to find some future with your friends.
3 points away from being indefinite again. But thank you.
Well, look, hey, it's you know, it's the attempt of the thing. Is there would either of you like to add anything to this scene? It kicks ass. Gaspar, I guess, how does it look as you come out?
Well, I guess, wait, so Michelle knows binding, and Michelle is also now going to know the summoning.
Summoning.
Yep.
And I'm learning summoning as well.
You can.
Do we want somebody else to learn the ward? Is that useful? What is the most useful one? And it's not going to be summoning. Nancy is not joining the order.
Okay.
Maybe, I mean, either
Nancy
the
is
ward.
diametrically opposed to cults.
Truly, either the ward or the binding, I
Well,
think
yeah.
would be useful, because we can just set the bastard on fire using normal means. It just might take a while. So either or, truly.
Binding? If
So-
the binding's a massive hit, and maybe we want somebody else with a third person with that.
We we'll return to this in just a moment. So as the week draws to a close, Gaspar, you are no longer indefinitely insane, and Nancy, you are basically expressed interest in picking up some of the spells. This will be you guys are kind of like speed running, learning, but Gaspar does know them, and if willing, can assist in that. So I think it's reasonable that we'll probably do a roll or something, but you might be able to like quick pick up a spell. I guess you just need to decide if you want to try the summoning here or something, if you're heading to the ridge, or if you want to, like, because you do have an extra week, you can burn into it a bit to try and learn these extra spells, but we are kind of at the 11th hour at the moment. Only other thing I want to put on the table before we continue is, Jackson, there is a mythos hardened rule where it's once your mythos score exceeds your sanity, which you are not at yet, but you're not far
Jesus.
from.
Yeah.
Once you reach that, you can start rolling under your mythos for sanity hits, not your sanity, and just
That's fine.
blanket all sanity hits are halved. that could be enough for you to preserve a little bit of your thing. So we could, I know you are not over it yet. If you wanted to, you could try and set that up, or, you know, just kind of in character. You're now relying on your knowledge, especially because you are tied to a particular, this isn't you, like, you're not going to suddenly see deep ones or anything. It's going to be like more of the same ghoul. So like it's your knowledge of Agran Talent Soth and the druids and their minions that you're relying on, so you're going to roll into mythos. If you wanted to go in that direction, I think that would be suitable. The four of you.
To do what? To teach?
No, sorry. So this is a separate thing. This would be for your sanity hits. You could basically start rolling under mythos rather than sanity, but this it's tougher for you. It's worse.
It's still a while away.
But no, but the upside would be you'd halve sanity hits.
You halve it. Yeah, I see what you mean. That's
Otherwise,
bad,
yeah. What would the four of you? Yeah, it's kind of go time. So you have we're in the last week. You can head for the ridge. You can stay and try and learn some more spells quickly in a couple of days, or you can just temp summoning.
Also, we've made it to the end of the week.
Yep.
So I've learnt the.
You've learnt
the summoning spell.
No, you've learnt the binding. You weren't going to learn the summoning.
Binding?
No,
that's why you joined the order, is to learn the summoning, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were just
Jackson
doing
has
binding.
learned the summoning. We were relying on Michelle for the binding.
Okay.
None of us
I'm
know
gonna learn
it.
the binding.
Oh, even better. Okay, yeah, you learn the summoning. That's great, because that's the way more dangerous one. Okay, I shared the binding one with you. In that case, you would still have that as a knowledge of, like, you're aware of just what
I know about it. I haven't learned it.
Okay, so I'm going to give you access to the
But it
summoning,
takes a week
Jackson.
to learn it. That's the thing, right? It's
well,
going to take a week to
this one's
learn
actually
all
faster. It was a week for so wait for it in the book and getting it all out of it. But you've read all the books, so you will be able to learn the final one a little bit quicker. We would do like a half. Like basically for a half week, anyone can try and learn one of the spells, but you're going to make a roll. It's not just a gimme thing. It's going to be like probably language own, so English. And then you're still going to have the sanity hits associated, and you're just cutting into your time. Like, you've got a week before the moon aligns and whatever. Jackson, I've shared the summon spell with you. What's of note worth noting is you basically decide how much magic points you want to spend, and the more you spend, the more likely it works. To keep it kind of vague, basically. So it's a variable, and others can assist with it. So what would what's your guys' plan? 1 week left?
Well, I guess I have to do rolls for learning the binding spell, and then it'll be we still have rolls to do for the
Earn was finished during the week. Earns are good. Earns are gravy. If you want to try and learn the binding spell, it's gonna be a few more days passing. We'll begin to eat into the next week.
We have a week before all of the stuff kicks off. This week is the week that we
want to summon.
Like, if we learn some spells, try a summon,
we'd have to move fast to the ridge.
Do we still have time to get to the ridge, or is it like we learn the spells and then we have to decide, do we try and do it now, or do we get to the ridge?
The ridge is within Massachusetts. It's about a 3-hour drive. You don't know where exactly they are. You could do the whole thing in a day, and you could like arrive in the morning before the conjunction and hope to do it live. That would be tough. Or you can try and get there early, so like there's no chance of them doing it. It's just, do they hit you hard enough to stop you stopping them? We are 7 days from the, spheres aligning, the conjunction of the stars or whatever. So as we do rolls, we'll just get closer and closer. You could, in theory, do it with just a day. It's just eating into your buffer, and you're losing options. If you, go mad and flee into the woods, tough shit, summon all over. So
it's a
7
conversation
days.
of whether we want to now. It's really because it sounds like we're going to take the time to learn some extra spells. Whether we still want to attempt to summon the binding and everything in Arkham with the order, or whether we try and do that closer to the site that they're like where the ley lines are, but we might not have as much support from the order as a whole, and we run the risk of being closer to what they're doing. But by being closer, we can also start, like, if not all of us are required to start the spells, then some of us can start scouting the area. So it's how much support we want for stage 1 versus how much prep we want for stage 2.
In theory, if the summoning and binding of Agran Talon work, the opening of the urn is no longer super dangerous because it's just one of them getting out. You've got the other two.
Yeah.
But
So I think we prioritize the summoning in the. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think the from everything that we have gathered, it sounds like the best place to do the binding is at where we are now or a little ways away with the help of the Order, because they are a resource we can use and they're not going to come with us. The only thing that would make that better is if we had been able to or were able to find a closer ley line.
no such luck.
But we were not, and
Yep.
by the sounds of it, half a week is not enough time to do that.
You could try, but at this point, there's a chance you find it and it's not even nearby. So it's if we start to measure in like 2 or 3 day chunks, basically like a half week, it's just gonna be more difficult and everything's under pressure. But I think also I actually love this because it feels like a very organic portrayal of deadlines rapidly approaching. And so like first week you're like, we're good, we'll relax. Second week, all right, let's try and get these urns in. Week 3. We left the week here to be used. This is the buffer. We'll use a bit of the buffer. We are gonna be ending up like last day you guys are going out there. No sandwiches packed, trying to save the world. So
I think Luce is going to attempt to learn the sigil.
Okay.
In this week, or at least begin the process. This is not one that they are like extensively going to be like, yes, I definitely want to learn it this week. They would like to, because that feels like at minimum, Luce has drawn the sigil enough times now that I think the drawing of it's not the complicated bit, it's the understanding how to cast it and having someone else who can activate the I know that I don't need to know the spell to activate it from what I can gather, but I think just having a bit more of a knowledge of it is going to help.
Sure.
If we do need to divide and conquer on who's doing what. If we do end up unfortunately losing Gaspar to the summoning ritual, then at least there's a binding, there's a sigil, and then, I don't know, Paul, go buy some dynamite. Let's blow this thing to Kingdom Come. If Gaspar's not able to fire and brimstone, then at least we can TNT.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's here's how I'll rule this. It's going to be an intelligence roll, interpreting the spells under time pressure. A success is going to bring it down to I think 5 days or so, like right before leaving, and then you guys could do that, and then you can get that success, decide that you want to leave early, you'll just abandon the learning of the spell. Hard gets it shorter, extreme gets it shorter. So Luce is looking into that. I won't roll yet, I'll get everyone's intention, and then we can, based on your rolls, you may actually succeed things and then still bail on them because they're not going to fit the time requirement, so we can spend luck however you want to do it. I'm open to pushed rolls here too, because pushed rolls summon things and explode minds.
And it's fun.
And it's just good. It's just good.
It's just good.
Gaspar, did you want to look into the binding, the final spell, or?
You just got your sanity back.
Well, yeah, I don't lose sanity for learning spells, do I?
No, you've read all the books.
Them.
Oh yeah, true. Because you're not reading the material; it's actually just learning the spell.
Is that right? Or should I have made a sanity roll at some point?
No, we did it. You lost a D6.
Oh, we did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't think so. I think I'm good. I think 3 spells are enough.
Yeah.
For anyone.
The wizard says no more. I'm quite full.
Michelle's got binding. Oh, but we do need binding against the ridge as well.
That's the thing.
You're going to learn binding. That's
I'm going to learn binding, but then there's only one with binding.
Well, there's Michelle. If we count
She's not
Michelle's
coming to the
resource.
ridge.
No, but
she
the
can.
most
She just won't come into the mix. If you get to a safe point, she can stay in the car, and then you're like, we've secured this area. She's the
point
NPC
is that
that follows.
We don't actually need binding at the ridge if we stop them opening the urn. It's already bound.
No, but you might still need binding for Agran Talon. The
yes, but we're doing
portion,
that here.
If that works, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah. If it works, we're working on the basis that everything's going to go exactly according to plan, because that's absolutely how you do everything. We have Michelle and theoretically Nancy, who will know binding here. We have Gaspar and potentially Luce, who will know the sigil here. Gaspar's the only one who knows how to do the flames and the summoning. Oh no, sorry, Michelle will also know how to do the summoning because she spent last week doing that.
The flames would be a useful one to get duplicates because that's one you can both do
getting
at the same time.
a little flamey.
Yeah, you want to.
Alright.
All right, everyone pick a.
That way we've got the wizard knows everything, and then each of us know one part of the wizard.
Yeah, you're the
Wizard
wizard.
knows almost everything. The wizard doesn't know the binding, but I think at this point the wizard's mind might not be able to hold an extra spell, so let's just... Unless Gaspar
trouble.
wants to... If Gaspar chooses not to learn the binding...
I'd be inclined to flip
He's
back
got
to the
some time.
tattoos.
Yeah. Actually, the tattoos have been done, so you could
Yeah,
look for
they're
more
actually-
tattoos. No, tattoos are good for Luce and Gaspar. Gaspar, you could look to get them done for Paul and Nance if you wanted
The only
to.
other thing
Not into it.
would be... would it be possible to have Gaspar assist us in learning? Because he already knows them to sort of like
Yep.
help with the... Cool, I can see you're about to stumble into a trap that I stumbled into when I was learning this. Stop that. Go this way. Like, kind of essentially act as a tutor for the
Certainly.
rest
The
of us.
rules learning spells from someone else just like shortens the time.
Right. And that makes it
Which is
even
kind of-
like...
Playing. The other one I was going to say, Gaspar, if you want to do is you could start preparing to do the summoning here. You could get, you start painting boards on the ground
Oh,
and
yeah.
getting the water and all the crap.
If taking time doing that will help us out, then yeah.
Yeah.
Spend all the time doing that.
What I might say as well is just to pin the sort of last bit of the funeral arrangements. Returned with Gaspar feeling like a lot better as well. I do the final steps of like packaging everything. If there's like a shawl left over from the funeral or something that was involved in some way in the proceedings, or some and all the paperwork to do with the ownership of the Foggy Sea, I collect it all into like a bundle, which I leave respectfully outside Gaspar's door because at that stage he still wasn't particularly wanting us around, and I think as well, as a sort of symbol of, I don't know, something, I've included my CV in case he would like to, because it's sort of like, well, you know, you might not want us around, so kind of it's like, here's...
It's honoring the suspicion, yeah. Also,
Yeah.
Paul, as you're looking into this, you begin to see a little bit of the cult web. As you're like finalizing those things, you're like, we could set up a company under this to hold the boat,
I do have a
and that
decent
might,
chunk of lore.
yeah. You see it. I don't think you're actioning it yet. That's a if we survive, we'll
Another time.
we'll get ourselves back out of the cult. Okay, so Gaspar's preparing the space. Is that my understanding? Luce, Nance, and Paul have each chosen a spell and are going to try and learn it. Okay. Can you just each make intelligence rolls, and we will scale the timing accordingly.
Let's do it.
And Gaspar, you're just going to be going a boot and doing it.
I will
Okay.
luck mine.
Nicely done.
Okay, so remember, success is going to be about 5 days. So you're going to be doing it right up to the... It's going to be... learn the spell on Friday. On Sunday, we go and fight the monster.
I think I kind of do feel like we really want the binding spell, so I
Yeah.
reckon it's worth it. And yeah,
I'm getting the binding spell, but I'm just thinking about using... No, that's way too...
And also, if you're out of sync, you'd probably... It's not all or nothing. But you know what I mean? Like, if you get it on 5 days, but
Yeah.
you're doing the casting on day 3, then... So, what this is going to do, for everyone that succeeded, they will have their spells learned on, we're just going to say Friday for simplicity's sake. You have Friday night to try and do the ritual. Sunday is go time. So, and you need to at least drive up there. So, we'll play it out hour by hour from here on out. Do you want to, can I hit fast forward to Friday? Or does anyone want to say we go
Yeah.
earlier? Okay.
And I'm gonna leave my luck for the actual casting.
Okay.
I
All
make
right.
a plan to catch up with the librarian for dinner on Friday so that I can not attend and leave another broken heart.
One in every port.
I'm
Done.
trying to decide if 12 points of luck
Yeah.
is worth learning the sigil.
Dealer's choice. It is. You can do it kind of in combat. It's 4 rounds to do, and it would give you others. That said, Gaspar can just have he's had the week to prepare, so I would say wherever you're going is pretty well sigiled.
Can I remind me? If we do the activate, can one of us activate the sigil without fully understanding the spell?
Yes.
Yes.
Because Bernie did it on the boat.
So the caster Yeah, on the champagne, right?
Yeah. Because we had it drawn up and ready to go. It just needed a power roll
Just
to
need a really
do
big
that
power
last
roll.
little
Yeah.
line. So it was just somebody closing the circle, and that would activate it, and that was a power roll.
Yeah.
And Bernie had no idea what she was doing.
Well, in that case, I am happy to, because the sigil is not a particularly, like, that's not the one that takes a lot of oomph, and if Gaspar's had time to set those up prior, I'm assuming he's also had time to refresh his magic.
Yep.
So I will hold the luck and all other things for making that work real good.
Okay.
Luce is just going, I'm not stupid, but I'm not a thinker, I'm a doer. So if I can just do things, great. And I'll maybe look at this again if we still need it after the fact.
Sorry. trying to add a spell to my Roll20 stuff and accidentally sent it.
Little spell. It's just a time thing too. With more time, like over the rest of the weekend, you'd have it down. You just don't have it for now. Gaspar, as far as the space that you want to do this in, what are you thinking? You're a member of the Order. You can secure a chamber or something, and you can ask everyone else to leave.
We've got like a basement. We've got like a bomb shelter.
There's a wine cellar.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
They
will. So there's like down the stairs, and it would probably be at least somewhat. Actually, they're wealthy enough that no one's searching this place. So it's just downstairs, and that's out of the way.
There's not like heaps of wine because it's all gonna be destroyed.
They have a pretty good collection. I think that's it. The rest of the like local Order have been told to go home and not come back for a while. So it's only you and Michelle here. Michelle doesn't give a fuck what happens to their wine, and unless you care. She's not breaking her back moving. Let's just hope it stays in the ward. If it gets out of the ward, it will kill us. So who cares about any of this shit?
Are the Order, some of the Order actually going to be assisting us at all outside of Michelle? Because I think there was conversation of like, do they have anyone in this Order that can like, sort of the ones that are like...
They're really good at having guns.
Right.
You know what, no, you are right. Let's do a group luck roll, please. Who has the lowest luck? I'm going to give you one guy unless you fumble. So you get a guy
60.
who can help.
Sorry.
54.
Was that 40 something? I think was our lowest.
Yeah, 54 is. Sorry, I thought it was.
Okay.
50,
I guess that's me.
Sorry.
I think it's you, Jackson.
You?
So Jackson, make
41.
a luck roll. Out, Drax. See if your team
Not bad,
wants to back you up.
Makes
I
sense.
didn't think that'd be me because I thought 41 is heaps.
Yeah, normally that's.
Normally we're
enough.
yeah.
Like, all
We still
right.
got one.
The
We got one
butler,
guy.
We still got one guy.
stays. He's not allowed to
Oh my
leave
gosh.
anyway.
I love
And
that the butler's the only one who's like, yeah, someone's got to know how to look after
Just
these assholes.
rolls up his sleeves and gets
Excuse
to
me,
work.
Mum. Can I assist you with your casting of the ritual? I'm
Racks the
quite
shotgun.
proficient. Oh yeah, just a shotgun.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it might be better to have him just drag people to safety rather than use the shotgun. This Paul doesn't like guns, but I yield after being convinced.
No, that's so. Here's my default setup. Gaspar and anyone else that wants to assist can add any spice as needed. I think it is the cellar underneath the building. It is reasonably secure. It's not bomb shelter secure, so give this thing enough time in it and it might escape, but it's gonna hold it for a while. You have drawn a large rune on the ground, which is going to be difficult to mark, and you put candles around it and all that good stuff, and then you've drawn a second rune on the door, which will prevent it from leaving. So what will happen is as you do the ritual, you can then dip out as a plan B and close it behind you. That said,
Just so.
it's not necessarily permanent. It might rip its way through it was going through ships. So enough time and it will probably escape, but that gets you there. You can also have the 2 urns nearby, ready to go to bind it. And then the rest is up to you. You can bring as many weapons into this scene as you wish, just knowing that should bouts of madness happen, they might not be your weapons for very long. They're also not particularly effective against this monster, so, your
What
choice.
about dynamite? I'm assuming we probably don't want to set dynamite off in an enclosed space, but also, maybe we do?
You can have procured dynamite. You have joined a cabal of connections. That's what they're there for.
Either that or just some way of creating enough damage to this thing.
We've got
Ideally.
the spells, I think, primarily. Maybe we have a crate of dynamite we have stored at the top of the stairs as if everything goes wrong and we want to like collapse the building on this thing to try and keep it and our corpses pinned here as long as possible. We've got dynamite, but it's very much
yeah.
It's the SS Champagne solution.
Yes, our damage dealing principle is going to be Flames of Ancients, hopefully.
Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, can I use my engineering skill? Can I use my engineering skill?
Yeah.
Exactly, like how to set this room up so that if we do need to blow it to smithereens,
100%.
it's going to do the maximum. It's going to fall in such a way that it does maximum damage to the entity, which might mean that it does enough damage to destroy its physical form, so we can still go ahead and like bind it.
Absolutely. Can you give me an engineering roll?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
It will be very funny if I then fail this.
It would.
I do not fail it.
Well done.
Nicely done. Sorry, Alex, I'm just putting your spell in.
Oh yeah, I was like, why is it saying edit mode?
Who's messing with my shit?
Turns off edit mode.
There we go. No. With a success, you're able to assess the area, and you are pretty confident that it's hard to be confident with any of these things. First of all, if the spell goes well, this shouldn't be damaged at all. It should be fine. If it escapes, you reckon you have time enough to close the door, tell no one to come home, nip back and do the other thing, and then come back and get it. So hopefully, but then you will then have to come back and deal with it. It'll be escaping at that point-ish.
I was going for, can I set up a bunch of dynamite so that we can just blow this whole popsicle stand and like crush it rather than set it on fire I have, at this point in time, I have no direct affiliation with the Order. I am planning on maybe, as I said, joining them as some kind of like contractor, but I'm not necessarily all that fussed about a bunch of rich white men and their fancy clubhouse. If bringing an entire house down on this thing seems like it would be on par with burning it till its body doesn't exist anymore, and we could use that as a method of destroying the physical form so that we can still potentially bind it, I'm up for fire as step one, but step two, bring house down, then try bind. Luce's kind of...
Here'll be how it goes. So bringing the house down on it is mostly physical stuff. You just need to blow it to shit. If you take every wine bottle out and put a stick of dynamite in its place and blow this cellar to Christ, that ought to do it. Problem is that will also definitely destroy the ward. It's reasonable though. So as your plan B, you can just have a shitload of dynamite in the cellar.
Because the point is, if the ward fails,
it's going to be running around rampaging. You can still try and burn it down in time. Oh no, then you need to capture the spirit, so you'll need to recast it into it. So the ward there is a chance you need to re-ward.
So the ward is there. Got it.
Yeah. So, but the dynamite thing still works. You just blow it to shit. So what you can do is, ward fails, or you need to activate the contingency. Light the long fuse. Everyone gets out of the room. Door closed. Monster can't get out of here. Boom. Things evaporated into dust. Quickly get back in. Do the ward around it. So, building begin to collapse in rubble. Get the ward and then redo it. You have to find it, redo the ward. It'll be a thing, but it should slow it down at least. And it stops it killing you, so,
Do we want plan B to be it's contained really well, or plan B to be dynamite wine?
Winemite.
I mean, you know how Alex feels about
dynamite wine.
Okay. Operation Winemite is go. As it is literally putting, as we paint this scene, there's so many Chekhov's guns in this, it's just, there's so much shit in this room. How can it not go poorly? So yeah, awesome. All right, there's a ton of dynamite in the space as well. We get to the Friday, unless there's any other preparations to be made. The rest of the Order is all sent home for a long weekend and told not to come back here for at least 5 days. The only people remaining are one-time ship's engineer Luce McAllister, one-time ship's boy Gaspar Green, one-time ship's first mate Paul Garrett, Miskatonic University graduate and alumni Nancy Lewis, Michelle O'Shaughnessy, the head, at least a senior member of the Order of Stone back in Dublin, and unnamed butler number 1, who has just decided to rally. You are going to attempt to draw a great and evil power from the ridge, not too far, capture it within a ward of your own making, break it down to its fundamental essences, and bind those portions into 2 sturdily crafted urns. And that will just be the beginning of your weekend before you depart for the ridge to deal with the summoners opening the 3rd. It's gonna be a long
When you
one.
put it like that.
TGIF.
Please.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
We are
I mean,
going.
this is why we have people with backups for the spells. It's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be
Fine.
fine. We will leave
I have
our
60 in
session.
axe.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. That's gotta be plan D. We will park our session there, and we will resume next week with the first of like 11 consecutive spells. Yeah, we very
It's
much
the
hope to
spelling
see you
bee.
there. Hate it. Really hate it. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks everyone for playing. We will be back in a week for a inevitable success. No disasters. Hope we'll see you then. Ciao.